I got 5 eliminations just now.
Team. Reloading!
Marked a location. Killing spree for the red team! Expired! Dead! The red team is in the lead. Marked a location. Not bad. Expired! Reloading! Marked a location. Killing spree for the red
Watch
team!
out!
Marked a location.
Be careful! You're losing the game!
Watch out! The red team is heading to a perfect win! Cover me! No mercy! Loading! Marked a location.
Cheer up. I can help you fix any problem.
Target down!
Red team victory!
Reloading!
Team match, let's go!
The blue team has scored for the first time! Target down! team! The blue team is unstoppable! Killing spree for the blue team! Oh! The blue team is in the lead. Target down! Reloading! Nice shot! Cover me! Dead! Reloading! Enemy down! Killing spree for the blue team! Enemy down! Reloading! Expired! Enemy down! Marked a location. Cover me! Target down! Reloading!
Great! You're about to win!
The blue team is heading to a perfect win! Dead! No mercy! Cover me! Killing spree for the blue team! The blue team is unstoppable!
Blue team victory!
Reloading!
Stronger region. The EU region seems to
to hunt down maybe the solos that dropped around. Suk picked up the M4. It looked like he was anyone, so he's gonna go back. Effect does have to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, Suk's spidey senses are blaring right now. And oh, really?
Oh.
I couldn't even catch Effect, and we could see through the trees and stuff. I don't know how Suk caught that one, but I mean, he's a pro, and I'm no longer a pro by any means. So I mean, that's why he's still here competing. Great pickup point for the side of Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, in effect, I mean, he tried to bring out the knife there, tried to allow Sook to close the distance, but he's too smart for that. He knows that if you stand far away from someone with a knife, they can't get you. It's a secret. I'll drop that bit of knowledge for you there, Zute. The knife has a limited range, and that's its main weakness. Otherwise, it's a great weapon.
I do believe you could throw it too, though. You could throw pans, so I would think you could be able to throw knives. As there were hot drops elsewhere too, scraps happening here. IHC lost a player early on to Sem9. I caught one of the IHC players looting bunker with Sem9 there, so yeah, I'm not too surprised. It is a little bit of a scrap fight. And Sem9, one of the teams right on the bubble in 96 points, 11th place. So that 1 point is going to be quite valuable for them as well.
They'll have to get a little bit on the distance if they want to get to this next circle fast, though, so they need to make sure they make good time. IHC losing players early, it just seems to be a recurring trend for them.
Yes.
Especially on Erangel, which is unfortunate, and it can't be the sort of thing that you see for a team looking to qualify, and I feel like it's been shown through the points now. 65 points on the board for them. At this stage, I think it's very unlikely, especially if they continue to lose players like this, that they're going to be able to make that gap close. Even though it's possible, it just seems a little bit too far out of the realms of possibility that they will be able to step up in that fashion if they're still making these same mistakes right now.
Yeah, I mean, if they're still making the same mistake at step 1, right, maybe they keep all 4 up, but that just means there's more potential mistakes that happen later on that they haven't experienced yet. If you're playing majority of the tournament as a 3-man, you'll never figure out the mistakes that you'll have as a 4-man into the late game, which will more than likely arise once again. So IHC's chances of, making that top 11 is really small, just based on the certain mistake of losing a player early game every single time. Teams are starting to rotate in now from that east side, as we do have that far western shift, like we mentioned, DRS, Demorte. There's still a bit of ways from the circle, but rotations are definitely being done. Influence Rage doing the same as well, coming in from the north, as their loot spot was Yasnaya.
Yeah, they are circling on through. They look plenty looted for now. Moving over closer to Georgia Pole, moving to the east side of Everest, starting to move along the compounds that line the foothills of it. But D+ are also in that vicinity. It looks like they might be able to either divert or stop dead the Influence Rage rotation from that northern side. DRS close to IHC. They continue to have a little bit of beef here on this rotation, but looks like they are going to extricate themselves from one another. Neither team wanting to stop. You see that quite a lot in these open field positions where two teams rotate from different parts of the mountains that surround them. They see each other, they're close by. You just can't pull up and stop in the open like that. You know someone's going to take those shots at you and you're going down. So you just have to wave and say goodbye, we'll see you later.
Yeah, also that's a common rotation path for all the teams following and behind you. So you stop there, another team's coming behind you, and they're more than likely going to take you down. As Demorte is here rotating, BTR taking the same path, everyone pretty much taking this path, because no one's going to stop here really to camp out rotations. It's just barren lands. There's no real high ground there to get a nice position to camp rotations. And plus, with the circle this far west, I don't think anyone wants to stop. Everyone does want to get more central, as Influence Rage does find their spot in Quarry. However, some of the Vampire squad is set up here in a 2-2 split, north and south of Quarry being locked down.
Nice area to control for Vampire. They moved up from Primorsk. Nice and timely position. They've got a lot of cover, but a lot of teams have moved into this area. With the Gatka fields being such a prominent feature of the north side of the circle, teams are deciding whether or not to stay behind it or to cross. And at the moment, almost every single team has opted to cross and move further down south to the western side here, to the areas around that swamp, around the north side of Quarry as well. The hills there providing sanctuary for quite a few teams now.
Ooh, Weibo Gaming catching a knock from BTR, and BTR being BTR, they're gonna go aggressive here. I think Sook was confirmed too, so they confirmed that point. BTR looking like they're backing off just a little bit. Of course, Weibo Gaming is gonna leave that fight immediately. I think everyone in the lobby knows BTR is just on another form of aggression level. So if your player is lost to BTR, you better disengage fast because they're not going to sit around and just, pop shots back and forth, especially after they get the first one.
It's essentially, unless you're right there to immediately get the res and then run, you are going to have a bad time in the BTR sidelines. It's been interesting to watch their playstyle develop. I mean, we saw that when they are able to fall back to that aggressive playstyle, it just works out fairly convincingly, but it's being given those opportunities that I think has started to diminish as time has gone on in this group, right? The first day, obviously, a blinder of a day, an incredible day. The best day I think we've seen over the course of this group stage as well. But when they have teams around them starting to tighten up their flanks, starting to figure out how to stop that aggression, becomes a lot harder for BTR to extract as many points as they did there. But they are still keeping up pace, of course, still in that top 3, and very much in the contest for this top spot as well.
Definitely so. Circle shifts south. Weibo Gaming, who lost a player, gets the new central of the zone at the warehouse. Of course, that's a position you can't really hold even as a 4-man team. You'll get other teams out crash in, and you're forced to kind of share the area. We'll see if any other teams decide to crash there, as we do have the Vibes team that we saw was shooting was actually southeast, not even across a bridge. I thought that was on the main island, but Vibes has not crossed over just yet. Queso actually looking to set up a bridge camp. And that's a pretty smart idea. If you're nowhere close to central zone, as Queso, you may as well bridge camp and maybe pick up some points before rotating in.
Ooh, Influence Rage have spotted one of the angles for Vampire. Remember, Vampire holding a crucial set of positions around the top of the ridge lines that are surrounding the quarry area. So the fact that they've lost a player on that north side, you can just see that knock just on the left-hand side of the minimap in the top right. Could be really unfortunate. Tony K goes down as well. Influence Rage having a good time to start things off. Ferrell confirms the flush. Players on the inside having a tough time against Stone, though, who's lighting up 1 and 2 as well. Tries to go for the third, but he's not going to have the backup needed. And Vampire being pulled all the way down to 1 player now. That is a really tough spot. Influence Rage can start to get these reses as well. A really great position now for Influence Rage off the back of taking it from Vampire.
Yeah, Vampire doing a kind of a really bad split, 2-2 north and south. I know sidelines are there, but you have to expect a 4-man team to pull up potentially like Influence Rage did. So that split not working out there for Vampire. They're going to suffer the losses down to 2. They go. BTR. Oh, BTR actually never got that point onto Weibo Gaming. They got the knock, but it was stolen away by another team because BTR still have 0 elim points.
They are still, as you say, on that 0-pointer. Major Pride, no players alive right now, so both BTR and Formerical Vibes with a chance to push on up, but Formerical Vibes still locked, embroiled in this scrap on the south side across the bridge to the military island. Looks like they are winning it out, but slowly trying to keep this pressure onto Beano Storm. Team Queso have disengaged from the bridge hold, so they do have that path available to them now. They don't have to stay here, but they might just want the points.
Yeah, I think when you've lost out on rotations, you just go for the camp if there's elim points. And Vibes has a huge advantage there. They've got all the angles. They have priority to leave if things should get a little hairy down there. So Vibes taking their time. They got a knock earlier too, so they have the man advantage. It's a 4v3. Next circle going to shift out here as we head into the next one, and it centers right on up once again.
Right to the mouth of the quarry area. The hills of the east that the Bigatron hold right now are a great set of sightlines to control their flank as well as take a good foothold into these next set of circles. Maybe they'll have one of their big old games that we love to see from Bigatron. Miracle Vibes continue the pressure. Fine outside in the blue zone. Does get that heal off at stage 2, so you can res and bandage and get that first aid off before the blue zone takes you back down. Stage 3 zone now. That will be made a little bit harder, but still possible.
Ooh, East reloading right there. I think just missed the chance, but the nades are good. As Vibes finally getting a bit more aggressive. Yeah, I'm surprised Vibes was camping this out so passively even after the first knock. But Nanakuni with some nice shots. Looks like answering right back. Baron should be able to get that first aid off. The blue zone is ticking, but I think all the players were fully boosted, knowing that they are going to be camping here. And with the blue zone doing way more damage with the new shift, I think it is time for Vibes to reconsider and go ahead and leave this position. Yeah, they will. They're going to have to rotate in from the east side. East side pretty clear. It's just Queso on the far eastern edge. Other than that, there's BTR a little bit ahead, but they actually don't have too many options in the east coming in, so Vibes might run into some opposition that they're forced to take.
Yeah, with BTR holding a 2-2 split right now in the hills and down to the compound to the south side of their position, it's really that hillside to the east that sits along that line of trees, but unfortunately the hillside kind of just runs out as you go further west into that location. So you don't have a great amount of cover. It's going to be difficult. I think they might just opt to take the fight with Team Queso after they heal up a bit.
So either take the fight with Queso or just stall out and wait for the next circle and then really gun for a hard rotation. It's one of those two options. Because if they take a fight on the edge now, the circle is going to shift and most likely go elsewhere. So maybe they just forego the fight, eat a little bit of blue, as little as they can eat, and then go for a hard rotation. We'll see what the Vibes team do shortly here as Sem9 still trying to find a spot in the zone. They will find that compound on the northeast. It is unoccupied as East goes down right there to Queso. So the fight will be erupting now.
Queso get the opening knock onto Doc. They haven't got the flush position yet, but they want to change that very quickly. They move straight on up immediately. Artur's very close to Baron on the off angle, potentially able to ambush from the blue zone here for Miracle Vibes with 3 players, 2 of them active. Artur's more worried about the players on the hillside towards the down player, but the pan eating a couple of bullets, but it's not going to be enough, unfortunately. They can still get that res, and that's what they're looking for, to play up as 3. Artur steps a little bit too close and does get burned for it.
Yeah, Queso getting a little overzealous with that opening knock. Not realizing the setup that Vibes did have coming in. And Vibes with another nade, too. Now that's 2 knock for the side of Queso. This was looking good. Now it is the complete opposite. With the new zone shift shifting away, I think Vibes is definitely going to just prioritize these points and take the fight rather than leaving this. Bino Storm coming in from the backside, eating so much blue that the blue zone is just taking away at their members one by one. And the Vibes team, one of the players heading north, maybe to deal with Bino Storm. Where's the southern player right there? Queso gets a full reset, so Vibes getting a little bit distracted, I think.
There was only 1 player from Bino Storm. I don't know if they noticed that 2 of the players fell out the back because the blue zone is now claiming them. Nanokuni is super, super low. For Miracle Vibes, maybe over-committing and overestimating the position on that north edge. Giving Team Queso that gap to get that reset that you talked about. They're not going to disengage. They're going to try and look to get ahead of it. I mean, the hillside is still there. It does start to go down, but it is going to be available. However, the circle goes all the way out to the west. And if Vampire had 4 players here, they would be in a phenomenal position. That was taken away from them earlier.
Queso driving towards into Dumorte. Dumorte with a really nice spot. This is not in the circle, but I like how they use this position to push everyone else away from their backsides before going in, because they have a spot inside the circle that they can secure from these compounds. So a nice little buffer zone for them to utilize, and Queso will be the ones to meet their demise here. There's only 1 player up from Queso. No, 2 up, but they're not in much of a position to fight back.
Bino Storm ran all of their meds dry trying to survive the blue zone over on that rotation from the southeast side, and so didn't have anything left. We're hopping on over to Genesis, who are clashing at the moment with DRS on the northwest side, and it looks like that fight has just concluded with DRS going down, so Genesis able to hold out on that position with all 4 of their players alive. We'll see if they can pick anything up. Team Queso go down. Only the 2 eliminations this match, which means their chase towards the top 3 again cut short. From that southeast side, De Muerte stay alive on the south coast.
New circle is about to shift here. BTR still has yet to really move into the zone. They've had a nice firm control on the east side, but they might be the next team to get into engagement before the next circle even pops up here. So really close to Sem9 on the northeast. Might see some knocks happen between those 2 very soon. De Muerte edging on the southeast after they cleared out their backsides. They will meet some resistance as they are rotating in here.
Brute force, 2 players as the vanguard right now. Neo's in the buggy still. Trying to claim some position on the hills to the south right now. seemingly the Muerte just rolling straight on in to the opening of the quarry. It's a very, very difficult position to leave. If you can hold it down, if you can get into cover, you're a little bit safer, but the teams on that high ground that Vampire and Influence Rage currently hold, they just have such great sightlines towards you. It's so tough to make it work.
Next circle pops out here. It goes down to the south. That does force Genesis to push in and Influence Rage. They just have to move over east a little bit. We might see a fight break out between Rook and Influence Rage as both of those teams are on the high ground of the quarry side. And honestly, whoever controls Rook's position into the next circle will be in a much, much favorable spot than everyone else.
Vampire trying to get across now. Two players do make it to the warehouse, but there's already occupation in tow here. IHC, 3 players alive, but only Schweppes now in action. Has a low HP bar as well, eaten a lot of damage already. Repositioning, or certainly looking to. Nades cooking in the meantime. Schweppes does have cover for the time being. No one on this broadside to the warehouse, but certainly teams will be starting to get interested. They'll hear the shots. They'll start to swim around. There's blood in the water, but Schweppes just has to disengage, and Vampire now only the 1 player alive, despite the circle going all the way down to their area of the map.
BTR mounting a push onto D+ now. BTR too high, too low. Looking for some nade openings here. If one of their players at the wall does get knocked, they'll be forced to kind of push in for a closer fight and trying to hop across the wall in the smoke. Being sneaky here, Forrest catches that one out, gets a quick knock. Question is, does D+ now decide to aggress onto the outside wall with this open confirmation? Forrest, that's a good nade. It could find the second player here any second now. He didn't really cook it. I am expecting an explosion.
That's a stunner.
Not sure where it went, but no connections.
Over the back, there was a stunner. Satalis does get an answer onto Osal. Gets that flush as well as he hops out for D+. A little bit overcommitting to try and get that flush, which is unfortunate, but can't be too bold there. Forrest actually, I think, popped out. No, he is just still on this corner. A lovely posted nade there from Boyser, but not quite able to get the first knock. There is a nade on the backline. It's the third party. SEM9 moving in from the north side, and Genfos on the high ground for BTR is dispatched. This is the worst case scenario for BTR. They don't have the inside of the compound, and SEM9 are looking to push down south, take their control from the high ground. They have done that with Genfos. They need to speed things up or retreat and try and reclaim the high ground on the hill.
Yeah, I think SEM9 should look to get a little aggressive here, but they're not. Maybe it's because the circle is about to shift, and with them being on the edge of the zone and on the high ground, they're probably just going to prioritize their next fight if it's needed down here at the warehouses. So they're going to wait for the circle to pop. Influence Rage moved closer into the zone, but it seems like they lost quite a few players. Yeah, they're down to 2, and now the fight is breaking out between D+ and BTR. Fabian gets a knock on the outside. There's only 2 up for D+. Same for BTR. It's going to be this 2v2. Smokes come into play here. Vision obscured. Fabian finds the crucial knock, however, leaving BTR down to a solo.
Only the 1 player now for BTR. D+ on 2. They have the inside of the warehouse as well. SEM9 have that high ground still. And BTR, they just slow down a little bit. We were expecting a little bit more aggression on this map. That's what we wanted from them. But they just slow down. They stop that aggression. They stop that push. And it comes back to bite them in a very crucial position out on the east side. Now they'll have to try their hand with, I think, 2 players are going to survive that for BTR. They'll be lucky if they can keep those alive. You can see that fight continuing over in this compound, but Tam has now moved down the hill, and Lapart trying to play around the girders here. Spots a player jumping on through, and as DBS hops around the side, Lapart lands 1, but they're going to be able to crawl that back on through. Fabian stays alive for the time being, but that has allowed Satalis to move on in over the wall, eventually give them a little bit of trouble, but Forrest is there, and he tears straight on through the BTR fall.
Nice play out of Forrest there, remaining patient in the smoke. Weibo Gaming, cameras finally back on them. We saw them lose 1 player way earlier in the match, but they've kept 3 up. However, they are facing a 3v4 situation against the Genesis team now. Murnat is knocked. He should be getting revived. Zone is closing in. I don't know if...
Close, because IHC had taken a knock as well, so Shrubs might have been able to get a little bit further. Genesis starting to scrap it out with Weibo and on the losing end of this trade right now, but Gap still has his work cut out. Close range, a player with Genesis trying to go on through. Ichi goes down. Only the one player now remaining, and he's on the upstairs. Bernat super low, but he's got the DBS. Goes for one, but an immediate save to keep the team alive was 3 for Weibo.
Yeah, the forward position out of Weibo Gaming was a great spot for them to fall back to. It's not in the next zone, but a much better fight advantage there from that tower. IHC now sneaking up here. They got to be careful, though, because on the high ground, if a team does peek over, IHC is exposed. Zayol takes some shots, kind of gives away their position, giving Weibo Gaming a heads up as to how close the enemies are. The nades from Garlas should be good, should do some damage here.
To tap them on down the hill. The blue zone's going to force them to crest the ridge. The smoke was there in time, and an answering volley removes that threat, forces a reposition from Seoul, but a nade to answer. Gap goes down. They have got up to the ridge line now, and they need to get this res fast if they want to keep him back up. Waimao doesn't have a nade to put in towards Demuerte. They're playing 2 players on the ground floor. Not entirely sure that Waimao knows he's there, but he certainly does now. Moving up close with the DBS, hopping on through, finds the first knock, doesn't take too much damage, steps in, and looks for this, gets close and personal with Demuerte, and they will fall in the face of Weibo.
He should not have won that, but he did. He gets the zone 2 on that edge. That is a crucial spot. We're into the top 4. The next circle favors them that way. I think right now, best they can hope for is a second place, because Brute Force is about to force everyone to cower in fear with the superior positioning. The high ground on the southern hill. Rook is up there at the top, but man, it's just not much that they can work with. The second he peeks his head open, all eyes will be on them.
Said it was going to be 1, maybe 2 teams leaving from this northwest side, but with Brute Force moving into position, it might not even be that many. They have absolutely dominated from this south edge. A lot of points already accrued as well. They've got 19 smokes. Like, what can you do against this roster? Nobody has the utility to handle them. Sem9 may be able to get an off angle, may be able to get a cheeky peek if they are lucky, but Pusher is spotted for Rook, the last player to stand. Looks like it might be all curtains for them. They know exactly where he is. There's a nade cooking from Prepod. Just going to put it over these sandbags, and that should be it for Pusher. Not quite find the knock just yet. Prepod. DPS pushes up, and that's Pusher down. Rook is handled now. Weibo. We're going to try and take Prepod down in the meantime. Hang on a minute, the backlines. They've been harried. 4 Brute Force in the meantime on the south side. Looks like they have lost 2 as their major core is a little bit exposed here, but Mikiel tries to roll up. Mind is there. Only Neos is down. There was 1 res enacted. The heals are starting to come through. Only the 1 player forward for SCF9. And Weibo are looking to ladder up because of that player's position. Good result for Weibo. They weren't able to win out the previous game. Unlikely that they win out here, but they make it up to second place. They've taken a lot of fights, and they should be able to put some decent points and a big dent again into that gap towards the bubble. It wasn't that big before, but with 4 Miracle Vibes going down fairly early, feels like they could have done a little bit more as well here.
Weibo Gaming really salvaged this match too, in my opinion. They lost a player very early on, and they were forced to just rotate into here. An area and quarry that is a cluster. So hard to make it out of quarry alive, but they did. They just made it out alive into second place, which isn't too bad either. Brute Force, meanwhile, on the south side, not having any part of that quarry action, just third party from distance. They controlled the south very well, though, against Queso and a few other teams that tried to go down there. And with the way the zones played out, Brute Force comes out on top.
And that south edge, nobody could leave for a quarry, you're right. It was just such a death trap. And that's what I was talking about when I saw, I think it was Major Pride send on into the middle,